Legacy students. So today we're going to look at arc length and sector area. So basically a whole section just about various things we can find on circles. What you're going to want on you is your foldable that we made in class, calculator, and then your notes as well, just so you can place your foldable inside of there. Two formulas that we need to remember for this section. The circumference of a circle, C equals 2 times pi times r, r being the radius of my circle. And then for area equals pi r squared. So keeping those in mind as you're kind of working through today, because we're going to need to use those for our formulas. Okay, so open up your arc length part of your foldable here. And on the left hand side it says formula and what is an arc. So what is the arc? Well, an arc is a piece of a circle. So in this case, on this particular circle we have here, my arc would be AB. So this piece right here. Notice it's not the slice, but it's basically the distance between those 2 points. Arcs can be measured in degrees. Normally you'll see that as the measure of AB with a little arc above it. And then arcs can also be measured in terms of length. That would be the arc length of AB. So depending on what they're asking and depending on what they're giving, normally you'll see it both ways. So if I would be measured in degrees, I would be talking about the x value or the degrees, this angle right here that made that arc length or made that arc. Or they'll be asking what's basically the distance from A to B. Now, the formula for arc length is the measure of AB, the angle of that, so this is the angle part of it, over 360, so how many degrees is this arc length of our circle, over the length of it, over the circumference. And all you need to think of this is part over a whole. How many degrees over the whole circle? 360. What piece of my circumference over the entire circumference? That's all honestly it is. So for AB on my little diagram here, measure of angle AB would be this x degrees, and then arc length would be this piece, circumference would be 2 pi r. That's why we had to talk a little bit about those two formulas at the beginning of the video here. Let's take a look at the first example. We're going to find the arc length of GH. So this red piece right here, maybe you're going to want to draw that in on your foldable since it's not red on yours. But we want to find the length of the arc length of GH. So let's go ahead and set up our formula. I need the measure of the angle, the central angle you might be hear it called. So 120 degrees is what makes this angle, or how large that angle is. So I'll go 120 over the total of my circle, which is 360 degrees, equals the arc length, we want that, over the full circumference of my circle, which will be 2 times pi times my radius, which is right here, right? That's 11 centimeters. Okay, let's figure out what 2 times pi, and we're going to use 3.14 for pi, times 11 is. So that's 120 over 360 equals x over, and let me grab my calculator here. 2 times pi, 3.14 times 11, 69.08. That's my circumference of my entire circle. How can I solve for x? Well, it's two ratios equal to one another, right? So cross multiplication would work. So 120 times 69.08 is 8,289.60 equals 360 times x, right? Looks like I need to solve for x, so let's divide by 360. I'll get x equals 23.03. And since this is an arc length, basically similar to circumference, we just label it with centimeters, because it's not an area. Now, how can we use arc length to find other things? What if I want to know the circumference of a circle, and I already know my arc length, so how far this is, and I know my angle. So basically still the same formula. I know the angles measure 4D, 360 total, over my arc length, which in this case is 4.19, over my circumference. We don't know that. That's what we want to try to find. So it looks like I got to cross multiply again. So 40C equals 360 times 4.19. That is 1,508.40. Looks like I got to divide by 40. So C equals 37.71. My label, since this is circumference and that's just a measure of distance, it will be inches. Now let's take a look at the third example of our arc length area. So they want to know the measure of RS. So they want to know how big is this angle right here. So basically we're talking about this piece of this circle here. So I don't know the measurement of that angle. So I'll go x over 360 equals my arc length, 44, that's my label right there, over, I need the circumference of this circle. Well, I was given the radius, it's 15.28, so 2 times pi times 15.28. Okay, let's multiply those together here quick. Write this out. That is 95 and 96 hundredths, so 95.96. Looks like we need to cross multiply again, so 95.96 times x equals 44 times 360, 15,840 it looks like. Let's divide by 95.96. So I'm going to get x equals 165.09 degrees. Notice it's not 180, it's not straight across, so that kind of works out for the amount right there. So let's talk about what is a sector. A sector is a section of the circle's area. So when I cut a piece of pie out of a circle, that is a sector. So right here, this yellow piece that I have drawn right here, that is my sector that is of my circle. The formula for the area of a sector, you get same kind of, it looks exactly kind of like arc length. The degrees of my sector, so how big is it, over 360, equals my sector's area over circle area. Exactly like part over a whole equals part over a whole. And that's how we're going to kind of think of it as we set it up. So I need to find the area of the blue sector. You might need to color that in on your diagram because I know it's black and white on yours. We need to find the blue sector's area. Can't use 120 degrees though, because that's for the red. How many degrees is my blue sector? Well, if this is 360 altogether, so that'd be 360 minus 120. I'll get 240, so 240 degrees is this piece right here. So I can go 240 over 360 equals, and then it was sector area, that's what we want to find, over the area of my full circle. Well, it looks like our radius is 14 feet, so I can go pi times 14 squared. So let's go ahead and figure out what that is here quick. I got 240 over 360 equals x over pi times 14 squared is 615.44. Now I need to cross multiply again, so I need to multiply 240 times 615.44. I get 147,705.6 equals 360 times x. Looks like we need to divide by 360, and we get a value of 410 and 29 hundredths feet squared, since I'm talking area. Whoops. 410.29 feet squared. Now let's find the area of our circle H. Well, I know the degrees here. It's 80, so I can go 80 over 360 equals sector area. They gave me that. That's 23.79, but they didn't give me the area of my, or the area of our, they didn't give me the radius, right? They didn't give me, yeah, they didn't give me the radius, so I need to find the area of my circle. Let's go ahead and cross multiply, so I get 80x equals 360 times 23.79, that is 8,564.40. Let's divide by 80. So I get x equals 107.05. And this is feet squared, since I'm talking a circle again. And that's the end of this video. See you later, Savers.